The salvage ship Aurora drifted slowly through the silent graveyard of broken war machines. Around them, shattered hulls of forgotten battleships floated like ghosts. The crew had seen wrecks before, but this place felt different. It was too quiet, too heavy, as if the stars themselves were holding their breath. Captain Rin stood at the front window, eyes fixed on a dark shape ahead. "There," he said softly. His voice carried a weight that made the others turn. The scanners had picked up a faint energy signal, something still alive after centuries. In a field of dead ships, one vessel still whispered. The crew moved closer. The vessel was massive, scarred by fire and torn metal. Its nameplate was gone, erased by time and war. No lights shone from its windows. It looked like a tomb drifting in endless night. Yet deep inside, something pulsed. Something waited. "Why would anything still be running?" asked Mara, the engineer. Her hands trembled as she adjusted the scanners. "Power cells this old should be dust." "Unless it was built to last," Rin replied. His eyes narrowed. "Dock us. We're going in." The Aurora locked onto the wreck. The airlock hissed, and the crew stepped into darkness. Their lights cut through the dust, revealing corridors lined with broken panels and scorched walls. Every step echoed too loud, as if the ship resented their presence. They moved deeper, guided by the faint signal. The path led them to a sealed chamber. The door was heavy, reinforced, but still intact. Mara worked the controls, sparks flying as she forced it open. The door groaned, then slid aside. Inside was a single object. A black box sat on a pedestal, untouched by time. Its surface was smooth, unmarked, and faintly glowing. The crew froze. They had heard of black boxes before, devices that recorded the last moments of ships, voices of the dead. But this one felt different. It was not just memory. It was alive. "Captain," whispered Jalen, the youngest of the crew. "Do we touch it?" Rin stepped forward. His hand hovered above the box. For a moment, he hesitated. Then, with a slow breath, he pressed the activation rune. The chamber filled with light. The box hummed, and a voice broke the silence. It was not mechanical. It was human. Old, tired, but strong. "Humanity's final weapon was you." The words echoed through the chamber. The crew stared at each other, hearts pounding. The voice continued, repeating the phrase, each time heavier, each time sharper. "Humanity's final weapon was you." Mara stepped back, shaking her head. "What does that mean? Who is you? Us? Humanity? Someone else?" The box pulsed again, as if listening. Then it spoke once more, softer now, almost like a whisper. "If you hear this, then humanity is gone. But its weapon remains." The crew felt the air grow colder. Jalen's light flickered, and he swore he saw shadows moving along the walls. Rin clenched his fists. "Keep recording. Every word." The box began to show images. Holograms flickered above it, battles fought long ago. Human fleets burning, alien ships swarming, worlds falling into fire. The crew watched in silence, their faces pale. Humanity had fought to the last star, and still it was not enough. The recordings showed commanders shouting, soldiers dying, civilians fleeing. And then, silence. The final image was of the Earth itself, scarred and broken, fading into darkness. The crew felt their stomachs twist. This was not just history. This was a warning. The voice returned. "We could not build machines strong enough. We could not forge weapons sharp enough. So we built something else. We built you." The crew looked at each other, fear rising. Mara whispered, "It's talking to us. To someone here." The box pulsed again, brighter now. It scanned the room, beams of light sweeping across the crew. When it stopped, it focused on Jalen. The youngest froze, his breath caught in his throat. "You," the box said. "You carry the key." Jalen stumbled back. "Me? No. I'm just a salvager. I'm nobody." But the box did not stop. It spoke with finality, with certainty. Humanity's final weapon was hidden in its blood. Passed down through time. You are the carrier. You are the weapon. The chamber fell silent. The crew stared at Jalen, their minds racing. Could it be true? Could this boy, born centuries after the war, hold the secret of humanity's survival? Rin stepped forward, his voice steady but cold. "What happens if we activate it?" The box answered. "Then humanity rises again. But once awakened, it cannot be undone." The crew felt the weight of the choice pressing down on them. Jalen's hands shook. Mara's eyes filled with fear. Rin's jaw tightened. They had come looking for salvage, for scraps of old war machines. Instead, they had found humanity's last secret. A weapon not of steel or fire, but of flesh and blood. Outside, the scanners beeped. A faint signal appeared, alien ships, moving closer. The crew froze. The timing was too perfect. As if the universe itself demanded an answer. The box pulsed one final time, its voice low, urgent. Humanity's final weapon waits. Decide. The chamber went dark, leaving only the glow of the black box. The crew stood in silence, hearts racing, knowing the choice they made would decide not just their fate, but the fate of everything that remained. The chamber stayed dark after the black box spoke. Only the faint glow of its surface lit the crew's faces. Jalen stood frozen, his chest tight, while the others waited for the box to speak again. Then, slowly, the glow expanded, and images began to rise into the air. The crew gasped. They were no longer standing in a silent wreck. Around them, the walls seemed to vanish, replaced by visions of war. Massive fleets filled the stars. Human ships, sleek and silver, fought against alien armadas that blotted out the sky. The sound of weapons echoed through the chamber, though no sound should have been possible. The crew felt the vibrations in their bones. The black box spoke again, its voice heavy with memory. This was the war that ended humanity. The war against the swarm. The crew watched as alien ships poured across the stars. They were endless, like a tide that could not be stopped. Each vessel was jagged, alive, almost organic. They moved with terrifying speed, tearing through human defenses. Mara whispered, "It's like they were born only to destroy." The vision shifted. Human commanders stood at control stations, shouting orders. Their faces were tired, their eyes hollow. They knew they were losing. Yet they fought on. Every ship, every soldier, every world gave everything. The box continued. "We fought for centuries. We built weapons that shattered planets. We forged fleets that burned suns. But the swarm was endless. For every ship we destroyed, 10 more appeared. For every world we defended, 3 more fell." The crew felt the despair of those voices. They saw Earth itself, scarred and burning, its oceans boiling under alien fire. Cities crumbled, skies filled with ash. Humanity was dying, and there was no escape. Jalen's knees weakened. He whispered, "How did anyone survive this?" The box answered. "We did not. Humanity fell. But before the end, we made a choice. We could not outbuild them. We could not outfight them. So we turned to something greater. We turned to ourselves." The vision shifted again. Scientists worked in hidden labs, their faces pale under dim lights. They were not building ships or bombs. They were working with DNA, with blood, with the very essence of humanity. Mara's eyes widened. Genetics, They were building something inside people. The box pulsed. We hid our weapon in the bloodline. We carried it forward, hidden in descendants. Humanity's final weapon was not a machine. It was a seed. A seed planted in the future. The crew stood in silence, the weight of the revelation pressing down on them. Jalen's hands shook. He felt the box's gaze on him, even though it had no eyes. The visions grew darker. The crew saw the last battles. Human fleets collapsing, commanders giving their final orders. Soldiers fought hand to hand as alien claws tore through steel. Worlds burned, one after another, until only fragments of humanity remained. The box spoke again. We recorded this so you would know. So you would understand why the weapon was needed. Humanity's spirit was strong, but spirit alone could not win. We gave our future a chance. We gave you a chance. The crew felt the chamber grow colder. The images showed the last human council, gathered in a ruined hall. Their faces were grim, but their voices were steady. We cannot win today, one leader said. But tomorrow may be different. Tomorrow, our children may rise. Tomorrow, our weapon may awaken. The council sealed the black box, sending it into the void. Their final act was not to fight, but to hope. The visions faded, leaving the crew in silence once more. The box's glow dimmed, then pulsed softly. You are the descendants. You are the carriers. Humanity's final weapon waits within you. Jalen's breath caught. He felt something stir inside him, something he had never noticed before. A warmth in his chest, a pulse in his veins. He shook his head, refusing to believe. No. I'm just a salvager. I don't carry anything. But the box did not answer. It simply glowed, waiting. Captain Rin stepped forward, his voice low. This is more than history. This is a mission. Humanity left this for us. For him. He looked at Jalen, his eyes sharp. The question is, do we use it? The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Mara's face was pale. If we awaken it, we don't know what happens. He might change. He might not even survive. Jalen's heart pounded. He wanted to run, to escape the weight pressing down on him. But outside, the scanners beeped again. Alien signals were growing stronger. The swarm was near. The timing was cruel. The box had shown them the past, and now the past was repeating. Humanity had fallen once. Would it fall again? The box pulsed one last time, its voice soft but urgent. The war is not over. The swarm still hunts. Humanity's weapon must rise. Decide. The crew stood in silence, the choice heavy in their hearts. Jalen closed his eyes, feeling the warmth in his chest grow stronger. He did not understand it, but he knew one thing, the box was right. The war was not over. And he was part of it. The chamber was silent after the visions faded. The crew stood frozen, their minds heavy with the weight of what they had seen. The black box pulsed softly, its glow steady, as if waiting for them to accept the truth. Jalen's heart raced. He could still feel the warmth in his chest, the strange pulse that had begun when the box spoke his name. He wanted to deny it, to believe it was a mistake. But deep inside, he knew something had changed. Captain Rin broke the silence. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. It chose you, Jalen. The box wasn't speaking to all of us. It was speaking to you. Jalen shook his head quickly. No. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a weapon. I'm just, me. His voice cracked, and he stepped back, pressing against the cold wall. The box pulsed brighter, and its voice filled the chamber once more. You carry the seed. Humanity's final weapon lies within your blood. It cannot be denied. Mara's face turned pale. She whispered, it's true. The scans, they locked onto him. It's not random. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Fear hung in the air, heavy and sharp. None of them had expected this. They had come for salvage, for scraps of old war machines. Instead, they had found a living weapon hidden in one of their own. Jalen's hands trembled. What does it mean? What happens to me? The box answered. You will awaken. The weapon is not steel or fire. It is strength, speed, vision, and memory. It is the spirit of humanity, sharpened into power. Once awakened, you will carry the burden. You will carry the war. The word struck Jalen like a blade. He felt his chest tighten, his breath shallow. He wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. The chamber was sealed, and the box's glow followed him like a gaze. Rin stepped closer, his voice steady. If this is true, then you are humanity's last hope. The swarm is still out there. We've seen their signals. They're coming. Jalen's eyes widened. You want me to fight them? Me? I don't even know how to hold a weapon. The box pulsed again. You are the weapon. You will not need steel. You will not need fire. You will be enough. The crew fell silent. The weight of the words pressed down on them. Mara looked at Jalen with fear and pity. Jalen looked at the floor, his mind spinning. Then the box shifted. Its glow expanded, and new images filled the chamber. This time, they were not of war. They were of people. Scientists, soldiers, children. Humanity itself. The box spoke softly. We did not build this weapon to destroy. We built it to survive. We built it to carry our spirit forward. You are not alone. You carry all of us within you. The images showed faces, thousands of faces, men and women who had lived and died in the war. Their eyes were filled with hope, even as their worlds burned. Jalen felt their gaze on him, as if they were watching through time. His chest burned hotter. He felt something stir inside him, something alive. His veins tingled, his vision sharpened. He gasped, clutching his chest. Mara rushed forward. Jalen. What's happening? The box answered calmly. The awakening has begun. The weapon stirs when danger is near. The swarm approaches. Humanity rises again. Jalen fell to his knees, his breath ragged. He saw flashes in his mind, battles he had never fought, memories that were not his. He saw soldiers charging, ships burning, commanders shouting orders. He felt their strength, their courage, their pain. He cried out, his voice echoing in the chamber. I can see them. I can feel them. The crew stepped back, fear in their eyes. Rin's jaw tightened. It's happening. The box wasn't lying. Jalen's body shook, but slowly, the pain eased. He rose to his feet, his eyes glowing faintly. His breathing steadied, and his voice grew stronger. I know what to do. I don't know how, but I know. The box pulsed brighter, its voice firm. You are humanity's final weapon. You carry their strength, their memory, their will. You will fight, and you will endure. The crew stared at Jalen, awe and fear mixing in their eyes. Mara whispered, he's changing. He's not the same anymore. Jalen looked at his hands. They felt stronger, steadier. His mind was clear, sharper than ever before. He could sense things, the hum of the ship, the faint signals outside, the presence of the swarm drawing closer. He turned to Rin, his voice steady. They're coming. I can feel them. We don't have much time. Rin nodded slowly. Then we prepare. If you are the weapon, then we will stand with you. The box pulsed one final time, its glow fading. The war begins again. Humanity's weapon has awakened. Do not fail. The chamber fell silent. The crew stood together, their hearts heavy but determined. Jalen's eyes glowed faintly in the dark, his body trembling with new strength. He was no longer just a salvager. He was humanity's final weapon. Outside, the scanners screamed. The swarm was near. The chamber was heavy with silence. The black box had spoken its final words, and now the crew stood in the dim glow, staring at Jalen. His eyes still carried that faint shimmer, his breath steady but strange, as if something inside him had awakened. Outside, the scanners screamed again. Alien signals were growing stronger. The swarm was near. The timing was cruel, almost deliberate, as if the universe itself demanded an answer. Captain Rin's voice broke the silence. We have to decide. Do we awaken him fully, or do we run? Mara shook her head quickly. Run. Against the swarm. You know what happens. They chase. They tear apart everything. We won't make it. Jalen's hands trembled. He looked at the floor, his voice low. I don't want this. I didn't ask for it. I'm not ready. The box pulsed faintly, as if listening. Then its voice filled the chamber again. The weapon stirs. It cannot be undone. The choice is not whether to awaken. The choice is whether to fight. The words pressed down on them like a weight. Rin's jaw tightened. Fight, or die. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Jalen's chest burned hotter, the pulse inside him growing stronger. He felt the presence of the swarm, even though they were still far away. He could sense their hunger, their endless tide. Mara stepped forward, her voice sharp. If we awaken him, we don't know what happens. He might change. He might lose himself. He might not even survive. Jalen's eyes widened. Lose myself? What does that mean? The box answered calmly. The weapon is not separate from you. It is you. Once awakened, you will carry humanity's burden. You will carry its war. You may not remain the same. The chamber grew colder. Jalen's breath caught. He imagined himself becoming something else, something not human. The thought terrified him. Rin's voice was steady. We don't have time for fear. The swarm is coming. If we run, we die. If we fight without him, we die. If we awaken him, maybe we live. The crew fell silent again. The choice was clear, but the cost was heavy. Jalen's chest burned hotter. He felt the warmth spreading through his veins, his vision sharpening. He gasped, clutching his chest. It's happening already. I can't stop it. Mara rushed forward, her hands trembling. Jalen, listen to me. You don't have to do this. You're still you. You're still human. But Jalen shook his head. No. I can feel it. I'm changing. The box was right. I carry something inside me. Something old. Something powerful. The box pulsed brighter, its voice firm. The swarm approaches. Humanity's weapon must rise. Decide. The crew stood frozen. Rin's eyes locked on Jalen. It's your choice. Not ours. You decide if you fight. Jalen's heart pounded. He thought of the faces he had seen in the visions, soldiers, scientists, children. Humanity itself. They had fought, they had died, but they had left him this gift. This burden. He closed his eyes. He remembered the council's words, tomorrow may be different. Tomorrow, our children may rise. He opened his eyes, his voice steady. I'll do it. I'll fight. The chamber filled with light. The box pulsed brighter, its glow wrapping around Jalen. His body shook, his veins burning. He cried out, his voice echoing through the chamber. The crew stepped back, fear in their eyes. Mara covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Rin's jaw tightened, his fists clenched. Jalen's body trembled, but slowly, the pain eased. He rose to his feet, his eyes glowing faintly. His breathing steadied, his voice strong. I can feel it. I know what to do. The box spoke one final time. Humanity's weapon has chosen. The war begins again. Do not fail. The glow faded, leaving Jalen standing in the dark. His body was stronger, his mind sharper. He could sense the swarm outside, their hunger pressing against the stars. Rin stepped forward, his voice steady. Then we fight. Together. Jalen nodded. Together. The crew gathered, their hearts heavy but determined. They had made their choice. Humanity's weapon had awakened, and the war was about to begin. Outside, the scanners screamed louder. The swarm was near. The chamber shook as the Aurora's scanners screamed louder. The swarm was closing in, their signals multiplying across the starfield. The crew felt the weight of the moment pressing down on them. They had made their choice. Jalen had accepted the burden. Now, the awakening had begun. Jalen stood in the center of the chamber, his body trembling. The black box pulsed brighter, its glow wrapping around him like a living flame. His veins burned, his chest throbbed, and his vision blurred. He gasped, clutching his head, as memories not his own poured into his mind. He saw soldiers charging into battle, their faces grim but determined. He felt the pain of wounds, the roar of engines, the fire of collapsing worlds. He heard voices shouting orders, voices begging for hope. All of it rushed into him, overwhelming, unstoppable. Mara cried out, rushing forward. Jalen. Stop. You'll tear yourself apart. But Captain Rin held her back. His voice was steady, though his eyes betrayed fear. No. This is what must happen. Let it finish. Jalen's body shook harder. His knees buckled, but he did not fall. His breath came ragged, but his voice grew stronger. I can feel them, all of them. Every soldier. Every commander. Every life humanity gave. They're inside me. The box pulsed brighter, its voice firm. You are humanity's weapon. Their strength is your strength. Their memory is your memory. Rise. Jalen's eyes snapped open. They glowed faintly, shimmering with light. His vision sharpened, clearer than ever before. He could see the smallest cracks in the chamber walls, the faint hum of the ship's engines, even the pulse of his crew's hearts. He gasped, his voice steady now. I can see everything. I can hear everything. I know what's coming. Outside, the scanners screamed again. The swarm was near. Their ships moved like shadows across the stars, jagged and alive, hungering for destruction. Jalen felt them before the sensors confirmed it. He could sense their hunger, their endless tide pressing closer. Mara's voice trembled. What are you now? Jalen turned to her, his eyes glowing. I'm still me. But I'm more. I carry them. All of them. Humanity's spirit. Humanity's war. The crew stared at him, awe and fear mixing in their eyes. Rin's jaw tightened. Then you lead us. Tell us what to do. Jalen closed his eyes, focusing. He felt the swarm's movements, their patterns, their hunger. He saw paths, strategies, choices. His mind raced, but it was clear, sharp. He opened his eyes, his voice steady. We fight. We don't run. If we run, they'll chase us. If we fight, we have a chance. Rin nodded. Then we fight. The crew rushed to prepare. Mara powered the weapons, her hands trembling but steady. The others checked shields, engines, and systems. The Aurora was not a warship, but it would have to be enough. Jalen stood at the center, his body glowing faintly. He felt the ship itself, its systems, its heartbeat. He could sense the crew's fear, their determination. He was connected to everything. The box pulsed one final time, its voice fading. The awakening is complete. Humanity rises again. Do not fail. The glow dimmed, leaving Jalen standing tall. His body was stronger, his mind sharper. He was no longer just a salvager. He was humanity's final weapon. Outside, the swarm appeared. Their ships filled the starfield, jagged and alive, moving like predators. The crew gasped as the scanners lit up with hundreds of signals. Mara whispered, "There are too many. We can't fight them all." Jalen's voice was calm, steady. "We don't need to fight them all. We fight smart. We fight like humanity." He pointed to the starfield. "There. Their formation is weak. Strike there, and they'll break. Trust me." Rin nodded. "Do it." The Aurora turned, its weapons charging. The crew followed Jalen's orders, their fear replaced by determination. They fired, striking the weak point. The swarm ships scattered, their formation breaking. The crew gasped. Mara's eyes widened. It worked. He knew. Jalen's voice was steady. "I can see them. I can feel them. I know how they move. Humanity fought them before. I carry that memory. I carry that strength." The battle began. The Aurora danced through the starfield, striking, dodging, surviving. Jalen guided them, his mind sharp, his vision clear. Every move was precise, every strike perfect. The crew followed him, their fear fading, their hope rising. The swarm pressed harder, their ships swarming like predators. But Jalen was ready. He saw their patterns, their hunger, their weakness. He led the crew through the chaos, turning the tide. Mara whispered, awe in her voice. "He's not just fighting. He's leading. He's becoming." Rin's jaw tightened. "He is humanity's weapon. And we are his crew." The battle raged on, but the Aurora held strong. Jalen's eyes glowed brighter, his body steady. He carried humanity's spirit, humanity's war. He was no longer just Jalen. He was all of them. The swarm ships fell one by one, their tide breaking against the weapon humanity had left behind. The crew fought with renewed strength, their hearts burning with hope. Jalen stood tall, his voice steady. "We are not finished. Humanity is not finished. The war begins again." Outside, the starfield burned with battle. Inside, the crew stood together, their fear replaced by determination. Humanity's weapon had awakened, and the swarm would learn what it meant to fight against the spirit of a species that refused to die. The starfield burned with chaos. The Aurora twisted through the wreckage, its engines screaming as the swarm closed in. Jagged alien ships swarmed like predators, their weapons flashing, their hunger pressing against the crew's hearts. Jalen stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes glowing faintly. He was calm, steady, even as the storm of battle raged outside. His voice carried strength that silenced fear. "Hold steady. Aim for their weak points. Trust me." The crew obeyed. Mara's hands moved across the controls, her fear replaced by focus. The weapons fired, striking exactly where Jalen directed. Alien ships shattered, their formations breaking. The crew gasped. He wasn't guessing. He knew. Captain Rin's jaw tightened. He sees them. He sees everything. Jalen closed his eyes for a moment. He felt the swarm's movements, their hunger, their endless tide. He carried the memories of humanity's war, the strategies of commanders, the courage of soldiers. It was all inside him, guiding him. The swarm pressed harder. More ships appeared, their numbers overwhelming. The Aurora shook under the impact of enemy fire. Shields flickered, engines strained. Mara cried out, "We can't hold this forever." Jalen's voice was steady. "We don't need forever. We need one chance." He pointed to the starfield. "There. A cluster of their ships. If we strike there, they'll collapse. It's their anchor." Rin nodded. "Do it." The Aurora turned sharply, its weapons charging. The crew followed Jalen's orders, their fear fading into determination. They fired, striking the cluster. The alien ships exploded, their formation breaking apart. The tide faltered. The crew gasped. Mara's eyes widened. It worked. He broke them. But the swarm was not finished. Their ships regrouped, pressing harder, hungrier. The crew felt despair creeping back. Jalen's chest burned hotter. He felt the warmth spreading through his veins, his vision sharpening. He gasped, clutching his chest, then steadied himself. His voice grew stronger. "I carry them. I carry all of humanity. We will not fall." The glow in his eyes brightened. His body trembled, but he stood tall. He was no longer just Jalen. He was humanity's final weapon. The swarm ships closed in, their weapons flashing. The Aurora shook under the impact. Shields flickered, alarms screamed. The crew braced for the end. Then Jalen moved. His voice rang out, sharp and clear. "Now. Fire everything." The Aurora unleashed its full power. Weapons blazed, striking with impossible precision. Alien ships shattered, their tide breaking against the weapon humanity had left behind. The crew fought with renewed strength, their hearts burning with hope. Mara whispered, awe in her voice. "He's not just fighting. He's leading. He's becoming." Rin's jaw tightened. "He is humanity's weapon. And we are his crew." The battle raged on, but the Aurora held strong. Jalen guided them through the chaos, his mind sharp, his vision clear. Every move was precise, every strike perfect. The swarm pressed harder, but they could not break him. The crew felt it too. They were no longer just salvagers. They were soldiers, carrying humanity's spirit. They fought with courage, with strength, with hope. The swarm ships fell one by one, their tide breaking. The starfield burned with fire, but the Aurora stood tall. Jalen's voice was steady. "We are not finished. Humanity is not finished. The war begins again." The crew stared at him, awe and fear mixing in their eyes. Mara whispered, "What happens now?" Jalen's eyes glowed brighter. His voice was calm, steady. "We fight. We carry humanity forward. We are the weapon. We are the hope." The chamber grew silent. The black box pulsed faintly, its voice fading. "Humanity rises again. The weapon has awakened. Do not fail." The glow dimmed, leaving Jalen standing tall. His body was stronger, his mind sharper. He carried humanity's spirit, humanity's war. He was no longer just Jalen. He was all of them. Outside, the starfield burned with battle. Inside, the crew stood together, their fear replaced by determination. Humanity's weapon had awakened, and the swarm would learn what it meant to fight against the spirit of a species that refused to die. The Aurora turned, its engines blazing. The crew followed Jalen's lead, their hearts steady. The war was not over. But humanity was not finished. Jalen's voice carried across the bridge, strong and clear. "We are humanity's final weapon. And we will endure." The starfield echoed with fire, but the crew stood tall. Humanity's spirit burned brighter than ever. The war had begun again, and this time, humanity would not fall.